Hey, hey, hey. Happy Thursday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Yes, I'm Jeff McAleer, back once again as your host here at The Daily Dope, presented by thegaminggang.com, which I happen to be the Grand Poobah. Yes, I am the founder and editor-in-chief of The Daily Dope and The Gaming Gang. So, welcome aboard. Tonight is Thursday, August 13th. This is episode 527 of The Daily Dope. If this is your first time popping in to join me, let me just mention that this is very, very casual. Most of the time, we will talk about tabletop gaming news. So we talk about board games and RPGs, card games, miniatures games. Every once in a while, we'll talk a little bit about PC games, which we shall tonight, and pop culture every once in a while also. But for the most part, it's tabletop gaming around these here parts. Do want to mention, if you like this video, please give a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And of course, if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that little notification bell, because it will not only let you know when I stream the Daily Dope live Monday through Thursday nights right here on YouTube, but it'll also let you know when I upload reviews like my upcoming Tiny Epic Mechs review, which will be up this weekend. Ta-da! And of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Also, because this is a live stream, that means chat is available. So it's on YouTube. It is not on screen. So it's one of the ways that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But I do my best to pay attention to chat. So if you want to say howdy, or maybe you've got a question, a comment, by all means, please chime in. I will respond. So far, we've got the Madman and a Gray Day hanging out in chat. So I had noticed before the show had even started, and the Madman mentioned this in chat, somebody already gave the show a thumbs down. And the Madman's like, seriously? A thumbs down? And it hasn't even started. Yes, there's some jerk off who has the thumb down every video. They don't realize, I mean, I can't tell you exactly who it is, but I know where they're from. And it's the same person all the time. They give, if they see I've got a video out there, it doesn't matter if it's a review, if it's an episode of the Daily Dope, an interview, doesn't matter. If they see it, they give it a thumbs down. Whatever. If that gets them off, that's, that's fine. But yes, it is pretty funny to see somebody thumbing down the video and it hasn't even started. So, all right. Anyway, so there is a bit of chat already going on. I am not sure what they're talking about. Swords and Wizardry, maybe? Oh, or, I'm sorry, Savage Worlds. There's some discussion about Savage Worlds going on with a Gray Day and the Madman. The Madman is a big fan of Savage Worlds, plays it all the time. Anyway, got a lot of news tonight. I'm going to dive in just a moment. And also, I'm going to wrap up tonight's show by mentioning something I've run across as far as some of the reviewers out there and what they are charging companies to shoot just a preview video. And it's insane. So we will talk about that in a little bit. Also, do want to mention, I still don't know what's going on, if there's going to be any kind of live stream for Extra Life. A week from this Saturday, I have not heard from Elliot. So I tried to touch base with him earlier today and did not. And of course, Pinky has come down to Caterwall. Love the new mic so that you don't really get to hear her, but she is in fine form already this evening. So Kabuki Kid has joined us in chat as well. So let's jump on into the news because there is a lot tonight. Coming this October from Ravensburger is the Princess Bride adventure book game. Here's the dope. Inconceivable. Climb the cliffs of insanity, brave the fire swamp, and help Buttercup, Wesley, Fezzik, and Inigo Montoya survive the dastardly machinations of Prince Humperdinck, Count Rugen, and Vizini. And it's Vizini. Wasn't that how I'm pretty sure that's how it's pronounced. I haven't seen the movie in a while. Anyway, follow the incredible story of the Princess Bride through 6 chapters and work together to keep the plot on course despite shrieking eels, kissing, and constant interruptions. Will the forces of evil or true love prevail? In the Princess Bride adventure book game, players work together to advance the plot and tell all 6 chapters despite interruptions from a sick grandson. Each chapter is represented by a new board within a book of game boards. Instead of each player controlling a single character, players cooperate to complete challenges by moving characters and discarding story cards from their hand. Each chapter has a series of challenges that require characters to be in specific locations, and specific story cards have to be discarded from a player's hand. All challenges must be completed before players can advance to the next chapter. A chapter can be interrupted by different story-based conditions or by the grandson. Players have one more chance to complete the story after an interruption, or they lose the game. Special story cards earned as a reward for completing challenges, as well as miracle tokens, Miracle Max, give players more options and help them along the way. The Princess Bride adventure book game includes paintable miniatures for Wesley, Princess Buttercup, Prince Humperdinck, Count Rugen, Vizini. I think that, like I said, that's the one character I can't remember how to pronounce their name. Inconceivable! Inigo Montoya and Fezzik. The game is for 1 to 4 players, ages 10 and up, plays in 10 to 90 minutes. So I'm guessing that each of the chapters should play out maybe in about 10 minutes. Supposedly, now I am not sure about this, but supposedly this is going to carry an MSRP of $25 when it arrives in October. That sounds awfully low as far as the MSRP. I do understand Ravensburger does not have, most of their games are not really high priced, but this does look kind of interesting. There is some discussion about it going on in chat right now. I am curious about it. Okay, so here's the thing. Normally, from what we've seen in the past, the Princess Bride games just aren't very good. I don't know. And Ravensburger is not a company that is known for really meaty games. So they tend to be really kind of, well, I mean, they're for younger gamers is usually how I kind of refer to it. I have not played a lot of their stuff, to be very honest. But from my understanding, because I know Elliot has quite a few of the Ravensburger, I think he picked up Jaws and the Universal Monster game. Isn't that called Horrible? Something like that. And both those games, he had told me he enjoyed them. The family liked them, but they were not real deep. So I don't know. I don't know. We'll find out. Hey, it could end up being worth it just to pick up the minis. I don't know. There we go. Horrified Kabuki Kid chimes in. So we've got that. So I know a lot of people are very excited about this. Very, very excited about it. So we shall see. William McGinnis has popped into chat. Good to see you, William. Thanks for joining me tonight. It was William who thumbed down the video before it started. We know how this works. I'm teasing. I'm teasing. I just find it funny because the madman's just, what? How could somebody be giving this a thumbs down and the show hasn't even started? Yeah, I keep telling you folks, you don't believe it, but there are some serious asshats who are involved in our hobby, who play board games and stuff. So, all right, moving right along. So I had 4 Kickstarter news pieces last night. I've got some more Kickstarter that I'm going to be sharing with you tonight. So first off, Indie Boards and Cards are getting ready to end their Kickstarter run for Quest Avalon Big Box Edition. I've got the dope. Quest is an entirely new game in the Avalon universe for 4 to 10 players. In Quest, all will show their true colors as good and evil struggle for the future of civilization. Hidden amongst King Arthur's loyal servants are Mordred's unscrupulous minions. These forces of evil are few in number, but if they go unknown, they can sabotage Arthur's great quests. Wouldn't it make more sense if they go undiscovered, not unknown? Players are secretly dealt roles that determine if their allegiance is to good or to evil. Then players debate, reason, and lie as they decide who will be sent on quests, knowing that if just one minion of Mordred joins, the quest could fail. Quests include 25 different characters and many different ways to play the game. Quest is for 4 to 10 players, as I mentioned. It's for ages 14 and up, and it plays in 30 minutes. Avalon, which this is a new deluxe edition of Avalon that's going to be included in this, pits the forces of good and evil in a battle to control the future of civilization. Arthur represents the future of Britain, a promise of prosperity and honor. Yet hidden among his brave warriors are Mordred's unscrupulous minions. Sounds very similar, doesn't it? These forces of evil are few in number, but have knowledge of each other and remain hidden from all but one of Arthur's servants. Merlin alone knows the agents of evil, but he must speak of this only in riddles. If his true identity is discovered, all will be lost. Avalon is for 5 to 10 players, ages 13 and up, plays in around 30 minutes. There is a quick Kickstarter video, so as I welcome Mel Winius from York into chat, let's kick back and give this a quick watch. Both games are contained in the Quest Avalon Big Box. This project is well over 800% funded. I think it may have hit 900% today. You can reserve a copy of both games in the big box for a $36 pledge through August 21st, and expected delivery is next January. So if you are fans of, say, Resistance, which is also from Indie Boards and Cards, this is probably going to be up your alley. This, because it's from the same designer, it's got the same kind of premise to it as well, and it is currently up on Kickstarter. I've played Resistance. I've had fun with it. Okay, so I have to be honest though, I don't know why people went crazy for it when it first came out, because there really isn't that much to it. There really isn't. So I don't know, but I've enjoyed it. I've had some fun. So a Grade A was asking, how much were D&D modules back in the 80s, cash-wise? Remind me once we finish up the news, and I will talk about that before we wrap up. So I think Kabuki Kid is on the right track as far as I remember. But like I said, I've got a lot of news tonight, so I'd rather not get distracted about something that's not about what I'm sharing as far as news pieces until we finish up with the news. So that's our first Kickstarter. Here comes our next Kickstarter. And this was discussed last night, so I figured let's take a little closer look, because currently crowdfunding on Kickstarter is Sniper Elite, which is from Rebellion Unplugged. Here's the dope. It's 1943 and something is moving in the darkness. Direct from Rebellion, makers of the hit video game series, comes a stealth action board game of pushing your luck and predicting your enemy. One player takes the role of Allied sniper Carl Fairburn, while up to 3 other players control squads of German soldiers trying to strike a balance between defending their base and hunting Carl down. The sniper player will keep Carl's location secret from the other players by tracking their movement on their secret hidden board. The defenders will have to use a mix of tactical planning and careful insight to track the sniper's movements and outwit their bluffs, using their miniatures to block paths, guard vulnerable areas, and move in for the kill. Sniper Elite is a hidden movement game of deception and deduction, where knowing your enemy is as important as knowing your options. Outnumbered but not outgunned, the sniper must carefully manage their timing, as every shot you take and objective you complete gives the enemy the information needed to narrow down your position. The defending army is powerful, but if spread too thin, your vulnerabilities will be exploited. You can't be everywhere at once, so which targets should you prioritize for defense? When you narrow down the sniper's location, will you rush in to attack or block their escape routes to pen them in? Your squads each have a specialist with a powerful effect, but be careful, each ability can only be used twice per game, so timing is everything. Rebellion Unplugged does have a short Kickstarter video, so why don't we take a peek?
It's 1943. Squads of German soldiers patrol the U-boat launch facility. The missile plants are securely guarded. The soldiers are on watch. And in the darkness, a single Allied sniper plots their approach. Based on the award-winning video game series, Sniper Elite is a stealth action board game of pushing your luck and predicting your enemy. Up to 3 players will team up to defend their base and hunt the sniper down. One player stands alone as Allied sniper Carl Fairburn, secretly moving behind enemy lines. The sniper must complete both of their hidden objectives, choosing what equipment to take on their mission, then tracking their movement in secret on their concealed board. They can't be seen by the defending soldiers, yet. The sniper can move silently, one space at a time, but moving faster is risky. Nearby defenders will hear the noise and begin to track you down. Be careful, but don't delay. You only have 10 turns to complete each objective. Play equipment cards face down to lay traps or move silently through enemy territory. The enemy will know you're up to something, but will have to figure out what. Once stealth is no longer an option, draw tokens from your shot bag to target an enemy soldier. The further you are from your target, the more hit tokens you need to take them out. But draw 2 noise tokens, and you reveal your position. How badly do you need to make the shot? How much risk are you willing to take? The defenders move in squads, each with a unique specialist. Each squad gets 2 actions per turn: moving, hunting, or attacking the sniper. Narrow down your search to pen the sniper in. Search a single space, sweep up to 3 spaces, or use intel to cover an entire sector. Once you've located the sniper, move in to attack. Each squad has a specialist with a game-changing ability. Send scouts quickly across the board. Patch up wounded soldiers with a medic, and go on the attack with an elite Jaeger soldier. In this tense game of cooperation and bluff, 1 bullet can change history. Back it on Kickstarter for exclusive extras, including solo player mode, additional minis, the Eagle's Nest expansion pack, and the return of a very familiar face.
Sniper Elite is for 1 to 4 players, ages 16 and up, plays in around 40 to 70 minutes. Project is fully funded. You can reserve a copy of the standard edition of the game for a $53 pledge. There is also a deluxe edition for $79. There's a third pledge level, which I think, if I remember correctly, I think it's $99. And you can make those pledges through September 1st. Expected delivery is September of next year. So this looks interesting. So here's a couple of things, and there is some discussion going on about this in chat. Secret movement games can be a lot of fun. They can be tons of fun. They can be very hard to pull off, though. And if you're not playing with the right gamers, and I know everybody out there watching this has had this issue take place in games. If you don't play with the right people, the game is going to suck. They're going to cheat. And I mean, hopefully you don't play with too many people at your table who tend to cheat, but it can happen. So this does look pretty interesting. I believe there's also kind of a bag building mechanic to it as far as the sniper. And because in the video, they mentioned that you're going to reach into your bag and you're going to pull out tokens and you need to have so many hit tokens to take somebody out, depending on how far away you are. So there is that. That's pretty cool. One thing I do not like about this Kickstarter is if you take a look at the Kickstarter itself, and there's the 3 pledge levels, it looks as if you don't really get the full game if you don't pledge the $100. That I'm not too keen on. If that's the case, then you should have just bumped up the base game to be the deluxe version and had it $79, as opposed to saying, well, you can get the base game for $53 and then you got the deluxe for $79, and then we got the one that's got the small expansion. It's like 100 bones. Yeah, a little iffy on that. So I do want to point out that Russell Higgins and Mark Clement have both joined chat as well. Should point out, Russell is looking at maybe doing some RPG reviews for the gaming gang, so that'll be very cool. But so Kabuki Kid says, yeah, Kickstarters are a good $100 or even more. Yeah, there are some that are crazy priced. And this is not like there are tons of miniatures in this either. Now, I'm not trying to dissuade anybody because this looks pretty interesting. I am just pointing out some things that kind of popped in my head while I was looking at this. The Madman mentions that this seems similar to Fury of Dracula. All right. So it is Thursday. So Thursday means that we get free PC games over at the Epic Games Store. So we do have 2 new free games. Well, they're not new, but they're new to be free. But there is another release that is free for today only. Only for today. I have actually shared this news piece 3 times on Twitter today to make sure that people don't miss out. Because available absolutely free today is the latest in the Total War series from Creative Assembly and Sega. Here's the dope on a Total War Saga, Troy. Dive into Greek myth. Inspired by the Iliad, Homer's sweeping tale of romance and bloodshed, a Total War Saga, Troy, focuses on the historical flashpoint of the Trojan War, bringing the conflict to life as never before. Experience the Trojan War. Troy explores the legendary conflict from both the Greek and Trojan perspectives, peeling back the layers of myth and legend to reveal the realities that may have inspired them. Choose your hero. Fight to save or conquer the kingdom of Troy as one of 8 iconic heroes, including the infamous warrior Achilles, noble protector Hector, wayward prince Paris, and vengeful king Menelaus. Build a Bronze Age empire. Through Total War's blend of grand, turn-based empire management and spectacular real-time battles, your actions can turn the tide of the war. Build your empire through strategy, statecraft, diplomacy, and all-out war as you conquer this vast and striking recreation of the Bronze Age Mediterranean. Fight alongside mythic troops. Inspired by the famed creatures of Greek myth, you can call mythic units to your aid in the heat of battle, including fighters that resemble the Minotaur, the Cyclops, giants, and centaurs. So let's take a look at the trailer for a Total War Saga, Troy, keeping in mind, absolutely free today.
What have you done? He's taken her! He's taken my wife! You've risked the safety of Troy. She must go back to her home.
You will condemn me to my death. Troy is my home now.
You have my oath, brother. She will be returned to you.
Call Troy your home then. Brother, I can fight! Go. Seek shelter. There'll be plenty of fighting ahead.
A Total War Saga Troy is absolutely free right now on the Epic Game Store today and today only. It is available through about 8 a.m. Central Time. So, which I believe is 2 p.m. What is it, British summertime? For those of you who are watching across the pond, because I know we get some folks who are over in Europe who give the show a watch. This is actually very cool. And this is something that had been advertised a while back. So this is not so Total War Saga games are not full-fledged Total War games, but there's still a lot of game to it. So looks very cool. I got it. I already snagged it this morning. I was very surprised. Not only was I able to grab it at, it was about 10 a.m. my time. I was able to download it because when they did the giveaway for Ark, it was their servers were having a hard time. So, but looks very cool. Don't miss out. Definitely don't miss out. Give this a shot. There's also, like I said, there's the 2 regular freebies that are out there as well that are free for the week. This is only free for today. So Grade A's talking about that they were watching Kings and Generals and they were doing a historical piece about the siege of Troy, talking about the real location of the city and people who've claimed to have discovered it. Yeah, nobody has yet to discover Troy. They have some ideas. Wasn't there a German archaeologist who swore up and down that he had found it? Now, this is decades ago. And now they think that's not correct. I tend to try to follow some ancient history kind of things. So I think that was the case. So even to this day, nobody knows for sure where Troy was located. I do believe, and somebody out there can correct me if I'm wrong, that I believe they think it's along the coast of Turkey. So there is that. So let's get back to some Kickstarter news, because I got some more news for you. Because this is something else that was mentioned yesterday. I thought, hey, okay, so I will share it. Because Necrotic Gnome and Exalted Funeral have teamed up for a new Old School Essentials Kickstarter. Here's the dope on Old School Essentials Advanced Fantasy. The essential old school fantasy RPG now expanded with advanced character options, magic, and monsters, plus brand new adventures. The base Old School Essentials game is a faithful retelling of the 1981 basic / expert rules, beloved for their simplicity, clarity, and flexibility. But sometimes you want more. In answer to that call, we're now primed to massively expand the game, adding reams of exciting content inspired by the ever-popular Advanced First Edition rules. All that delicious, esoteric 1970s flavor you crave is here. Assassins, poisons, drow, half-orcs, mimics, Zorns, Vorpal swords, Eon stones, even the dreaded Terrask. I don't remember the Terrask. More classes, more magic, more monsters, more options. All 100% compatible with the basic expert rules and presented in the familiar Old School Essentials style. The advanced fantasy material is also available as 4 supplements to the base game, adding new character options, spells, monsters, and magic items. The first 2 advanced fantasy supplements, Advanced Fantasy Genre Rules and Advanced Fantasy Druid and Illusionist Spells, were published in 2019. If you already have these books, you can complete the Advanced Fantasy set with the new Monsters and Treasures books. The Dungeon Delver pledge level is the one for you. If you want the complete set of 4 Advanced Fantasy supplements to expand the base Old School Essentials game, go for the Dungeon Mapper pledge level, which includes the genre rules, Druid and Illusionist rules, monsters, and treasures. This project is fully funded. This just launched a couple days ago. The 4 volumes of Old School Essentials Advanced Fantasy can be reserved for a $60 pledge. That will get you the physical books as well as the PDFs. This Kickstarter does run through September 11th. I always hate when I have to say that date. Just always, for some reason, it's like, just hate having this. I wish I'd be like, oh, September 12th. Yeah, that's cool. Because whenever you say September 11th, there's one thing that jumps in everybody's mind, or at least everybody in the U.S. Expected delivery on this Kickstarter is March of next year. So very, very cool. Once again, I have not had an opportunity to check out Old School Essentials. You know, maybe I saw one of the books in PDF at some point. I think a grade A is familiar with this set. And if I remember right, it was very, one of the things that was really nice about it was everything was very clear. It was very nicely presented. If I remember correctly, there really isn't anything new that's added to the core game. The core game is effectively B/X, but presented nice and clearly for people to just look at it and be like, boom, I understand it. Great. Got it. So Melwinia says, Exalted Funeral. What a name. Yeah. They are a publisher and I want to say that not only do they publish role-playing game books, I think they also translate some from other countries, other languages. I think. Might be wrong. So Grade A says, yes, it's like BX and it is cleaned up. And there is really nothing new to it. Except now they are adding some first edition AD&D stuff to it. And I like to see that. I definitely do like to see that. Now, one thing, and I actually tweeted about this earlier, and we'll get back. I've got a couple more news items I do want to share with you. But real quickly here. Yeah, so I want to jump back, but I don't want the opening theme that Dan from No Enemies Here has done for me to start playing. But I tweeted earlier today saying that, with all these games out there, and there are a lot of role-playing games out there that have this really cool old school vibe to them, but they really aren't old school because they've created these really wonderful and just exciting and imaginative mechanics and aspects to the games, but they want to keep that old school kind of feel to them. I don't think we should call those games OSR anymore. And I know there are a lot of people who do refer to, like the Black Hat or like Troika. They say, well, those are OSR games. To me, they're not. I don't really see those as OSR. Blades in the Dark. Some people say, well, yeah, that's kind of OSR. I don't think so. I think what we should do is we should create just a new phrase for these games, and let's call them NSR, as in New School Renaissance. These are the new school Renaissance games that are out there, that they embrace the old classic feel of Dungeons and Dragons, be it original D&D or BX or first edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, what have you. But it's like, let's separate these out. Let's give them some credit, because some of these are really, really amazingly well done. And I got to be honest. I mean, I've read through the Black Hack, and I sit there and go, I would love running this. And I know there's a lot more stuff that's out there for the Black Hack. So I like that fact as well. But so Kabuki Kid says, don't forget BECMI. Okay, all right. Jeez. Gosh. All right, moving right along. let's get on with the news here because Ganesha Games, I think that's how it's pronounced, has a new For Against game that has arrived. And I've got the dope on For Against the Great Old Ones. The clock is ticking. 40 days from now, a dark cult will congregate somewhere in the United States to summon a cosmic entity of infinite horror. The only hope for the world is a group of 4 intrepid investigators who will stop at nothing to find the necessary clues, identify the cult, and stop the Great Witch ritual before it's too late. For Against the Great Old Ones is a game of Lovecraftian dread and horror set in the 1930s. It's an old school pen and paper game that can be enjoyed in solitaire, cooperatively, or as an RPG Lite. It is a standalone game based on the For Against Darkness system, modified to include insanity, helpers, 8 new main characters, a unique clue system, 6 possible final encounters, each a full minigame, and more. Narrative-driven and true to its sources, For Against the Great Old Ones will provide you with a deep immersion in Lovecraft's world. The game is designed to be challenging and will require determination, bravery, skill, and favorable astral alignments to win. Do you dare pursue this dangerous investigation? Do you dare to face the Great Old Ones? You can score this 82-page PDF right now at Drive-Thru RPG for $9.99. I believe that this right now is on sale. I think it's going to normally be $13.99, but you can score it right now for $9.99. I have never played any of the For Against games. Sammy did a review of For Against Darkness and really liked it. And they have so much content for these For Against games. They're always rolling stuff out. So, For Against the Great Old Ones. Yes, very cool. And you know, if it's Lovecraft, I come running. I come checking it out. I'm looking to find out what's going on. So, Grade A says the designer is a machine. I got to admit, though, I don't think this is actually from the same designer who did For Against Darkness. I believe it's another Italian designer. I might be wrong. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the last name. So Kabuki Kids says that they saw a video of these For Against games being played and it looks good. Yes, because don't they have like all these like For Against Darkness? They have all the different, like you're randomly rolling up rooms and stuff like that as you're going through your dungeon and stuff. Pretty cool. So Malwinius, so Russell Hagen says, Jeff secretly an old one. Oh, there is no secret that I'm old. I think that's pretty apparent, isn't it? Now, I'm not necessarily a great old one, but yeah, I'm an old one. All right. So, and Kabuki Kid says the video was showing them playing solo. Nice. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Final news piece. There is a short adventure for the Liminal role-playing game. It's available from Modiphius Entertainment in PDF. That's actually at Drive-Thru RPG. But here's the dope on one Bogarts Rubbish, which I assume has got to be some sort of English phrase because it makes no sense to me. So I don't know. We're delighted to announce the release of One Bogarts Rubbish, a brand new case for the acclaimed Liminal RPG. The crew must retrieve a lost token of a Fey Knight that is somewhere in London. In the process, they come across a number of powerful people and secret places in London's hidden world. Here you'll encounter some intriguing new characters and locations, including London's premier purveyor of magical components, ephemeria, and other arcane detritus, the Bogarts of Aldgate East, and explore the fascinating rookeries of the hidden. All right, so somebody's going to tell me what, somebody's going to have to share what a Bogart is outside of somebody who won't like give up the joint that you're sharing. Okay, man, don't Bogart that. Join us in this 13-page PDF adventure for the Liminal RPG, where the magical and mundane worlds collide in the modern-day United Kingdom. This adventure makes use of material in the Pax Londinium supplement. This 13-page adventure is now available over at DriveThruRPG for $2. $2. $2. I want my $2. So I can buy this over at DriveThruRPG. Sweet. Cool. Cool little adventure. Couple of bucks. Of course, when I talk about DriveThruRPG, the gaming gang, and thus the Daily Dope are affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to swing over to, say, DriveThruRPG, please stop by thegaminggang.com first, click on one of our banner ads, and that way, if you do happen to make a purchase, I get a little portion of that sale. And all those little portions really, really do add up and really help keep the Gaming Gang website around. So there is discussion of what a Bogart is. And Flaming Huron, who has joined us in chat, welcome aboard. Flaming Huron's been here for a little bit, is a spirit. Yeah, you know what? That does ring a bell too. Actually, I thought maybe it was kind of like a, here you go. So Russell Higgins says, I thought it was a diseased goblin. See, I was going to say the same thing. I thought a Bogart was kind of like a goblin, like a smaller kind of creature, like an evil fey creature. I don't know. I have no idea. So, and it's kind of like Riverdance the RPG, says Mark. Okie doke. All right, so that is it for the news. So there were a few things that I did want to jump into. And yes, I do remember the question about how much were D&D modules back in the day. And we'll get to that in just a moment. Okay, so first off, I wanted to ask, now this is probably going to be a bit of a blast from the past. For the war gamers out there, if anyone remembers M1, the Midwestern War Gamers Association newsletter is, I think, what it stood for. And this is actually later in the run. This was if I remember right, this was quarterly. And when I originally started reading this, it was a just kind of like a cardstock cover on it. And here we go, Andrew Frank. Welcome aboard, Andrew. I don't think you've joined us in the past, so welcome to chat. So this was great for historical miniatures gamers because every issue had at least 2 full rule sets. Now, some are not all that great, but there were a lot of them that were very kind of like inspirational. So there we go. So Andrew's pointing out that Hal Thinglum was the editor. Yes, that is true. Well, I think this one's from about 96. Let's take a look. See what we see. If it even shows us. Yep. So, 6 times per year. So it was September, November, January, March, May, and July. I don't see. I know this makes great video, right? As I'm looking through the book. I think this is I do really think this is from 86. Let's see if Hal dated this. No. Okay. Anyway. So there you go. So Andrew's saying, man, I love the M1. That's how I always referred to it as M1. I wonder what happened to Hal. Because if I remember correctly, Hal was out of the Chicago area. He lived in the Chicago area. Last I had heard, I think he had moved away from Illinois. But this was back in the day when Emperor's headquarters was on Irving Park Road in the city. I lived in the city, and I used to go there at least once a week. And they're long gone. But yeah, good old M1. So it was kind of funny. I was curious if anybody remembered it. And right away, someone in chat's like, oh, yeah. I have about 20 issues. I had probably about 50 back in the day, because I think it ran to about maybe issue 130, 140, and wrapped up after that. So yeah, so I'm kind of curious what happened to Hal, if Hal's still around or what, because for some strange reason I think he may have been an attorney. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I should actually read through my old issues. I haven't looked through these in a long time. The reason why I kind of shy away from reading through it is because then I'll be like, oh man, I really want to go get some 15 millimeter minis. And I don't need to be doing that, because I painted thousands of American Civil War miniatures back in the day. So yes, and sold them at Gen Con and made a pretty hefty profit years and years ago. All right, so anyway, so that was the one thing. So very cool. I'm glad that somebody out there's like, yeah, M1. It's like there was a gentleman, I think he was a monk, who would write in, and he would have these like rule sets that he would create. It was pretty interesting. So I swear, I think he was a monk. I don't know. All right. Anyway, so other thing, and I will wrap up with what I seem to recall the D&D modules running price-wise. So if you follow me on Twitter, you probably already ran across this, but I saw somebody who is, there you go. So Andrew says, yes, the Reverend Glidden. Yeah, there you go. Boy, Andrew knows his stuff. Boom. But anyway, so somebody who just started a gaming company, they're looking to launch their first Kickstarter. They had tweeted out that they had gotten a quote for a 2-minute preview video from one of the big names out there. Now, they didn't say who it is. I'm pretty sure I know who it is, but I'm not going to say, because you know what? I've commented about this outlet before. I don't want to get into it, right? Yeah, I had enough problems with people who don't like my style of doing things. I don't need to get like every whack job out there pissed at me. But this company got a quote back for what a 2-minute review is how they referred to it. I'm taking a guess it was probably a promotional video, a preview, because most of the bigger outlets out there who do charge to do review videos don't call it reviews. They're smart enough to know better. Now, this one outlet that I think it is, they don't. They still call them reviews, and then they bury the paid promotional aspect of their videos so you don't see them. Yeah. Anyway, so they were quoted $1,000 to do a 2-minute video. I thought that was ridiculous. That is completely ridiculous. And the thing to me is, you know, for one, these companies are out there. Number one, they're sitting there, not everybody, but many of these reviewers or these outlets with multiple reviewers, for one, they're really not in it for the love of the game, the love of gaming. They're not. They're in it for the money. Dicebreaker, I'll give you a great example. I wouldn't believe shit that came out of those guys and gals' mouths, because it's all about the dough. They came out of nowhere, and they utilized the fact that their corporate entity also owns Rock Paper Shotgun, which is actually a pretty good PC game website. But once again, it was all put together to make dough. So, and they jumped out with like 50,000 subscribers within about a month. And it's like, no way. Plus, they had all of a sudden had all these followers on Twitter, and it was like, we know how this stuff works. If you really want, if I really wanted, and if I had dough to spend, I can pay to have people follow me on Twitter. I can pay to have people subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel on YouTube. I would never do that because it's ridiculous. Plus, you can actually go and you can check to find out how many phony people are followers on Twitter. So kind of funny. Anyway, so I was like, holy, $1,000 for a preview video. Now, I'm sure it probably was going to be more than 2 minutes, but still, that's ridiculous. It's crazy. So, of course, I shot an email, or I should say email. I tweeted back in response to this and saying, hey, you know what? We never charge for reviews. I have never charged people for review videos. Only thing I have ever done, and I still do, doesn't really happen, but if somebody wants to do advertising for their Kickstarter along with the video, and if they want to have any input into the video, like how it's presented, then yes, I will charge them. But for the most part, they're paying for advertising on the Gaming Gang website. The video is just thrown in. I don't charge people to do previews or reviews or anything like that. So Mark says, are we getting paid? It's like Kabuki Kid's like, we demand tribute, strike. Yes, they're going to go on strike. There you go. Well, I mean, I got to be honest. I don't know how you go about like becoming somebody who sells their like fellowship. So Flaming Heron says, we can't be paid. We're phony YouTube viewers. None of us are actually here. That's right. It's all just a bot. It's a bot that I have programmed to throw fake comments in chat. So it looks like people are watching. So anyway, something like that just irritates me when I see stuff like it. It's like, oh, so I was going to say, so these many of these companies out there, these outlets, not only charge publishers to do videos, then they turn around and they have their hand out and they're like, oh, it's time for our annual Kickstarter for you to, to pay to support us. And then some of them do that. And then on top of that, they got a Patreon every month. It's sort of like, damn, man. I would never, I'm not that sort of person. I would feel dirty. Gotta be honest, I would feel really dirty. And, I've had opportunities to monetize the Gaming Gang in a lot of different ways since the beginning, and I've kind of avoided it. Yes, I'm kind of stupid that way. But when I do a review, at least that's how I feel about it. All right. So there's more discussion about not getting paid for watching the show or being subscribers. Okay, so final thing, because we've been going for about an hour. So I'm going to wrap up. So Grady was asking if I happen to remember how much Dungeons and Dragons modules were back in the day. So I have to be very honest. I only purchased Advanced Dungeons and Dragons modules. And I know Kabuki Kid had commented something about the T series, which is if I remember correctly, it's Temple of Elemental Evil, which started off with the Village of Hamlet back in the day. I think that was T1. Almost positive. If I'm wrong, somebody's going to tell me. But I didn't buy, I never had Basic Expert. I had a friend who ran that. I played. He was a terrible dungeon master. He would just hand stuff out for nothing. It was kind of But no, that wasn't a knock on the rules. That was just, he was not a very good dungeon master. Just was like, oh, yeah, you're like third level and you've got a Vorpal sword and flying carpet and all. No joke. Yeah. So if I remember correctly, and I've told this story before, the first role-playing game product I ever purchased was G1, Studying of the Hill Giant Chieftain. I think that's the title. And I remember I was like, oh, this looks cool. And I brought it home and realized, oh gosh, you can't play this. I thought it was the game, right? I was like, oh, this is the game. Okay. Turned out, oh, you needed to have these books. So Russell Higgins is chiming in, $7.99 for advanced D&D. The old monochrome covers were $4.99 when they first came out. Bingo. That is exactly what I was going to say. I thought, if I remember correctly, they were about $4.99. Because at that point in time, I had an allowance, and I didn't have a huge allowance. And I do remember it was about $5. So, and I remember having to save up to purchase the books. So, but yes, if I remember correctly, when I bought G1, it was about $5. So there you go. Andrew's chiming in. So far, we know Andrew, he's a fount of knowledge, right? So the G series was $4.99. There we go. There we go. So like I said, and I think I pointed this out before, if you're fairly new to the show, maybe you haven't heard this before, but Kabuki Kid also mentions the G modules are thin. They're not big. Now, I think they're 32 pages. I think that was like the going rate for the adventures back at that point in time. So Kabuki Kid had mentioned T1 through 4. When I was buying modules, there was no T2, 3, or 4 for years. So I was no longer playing D&D when the Temple of Elemental Evil actually started to come out. But yeah, I played some D&D, and then 81 is when Call of Cthulhu came out, and I picked up Call of Cthulhu, and that right there, it was love at first read, and I never looked back. And everybody I went to high school with, who were part of the Gamers Guild, now you kind of have an idea where the gaming gang came from. It was called the Gamers Guild, was our club. We had various friends of mine who would run Top Secret, and gosh, I'm going to jump in. So we had Top Secret, we had Stormbringer, we had Behind Enemy Lines. So these are a bunch of my friends who, Star Trek, the old fastest Star Trek. So these were all my friends who we played games with. So these were also the people that we played Avalon Hill games with. We played Fletcher Pratt's naval war game with, and we actually traced ships and stuff. So Flaming Heron says Call of Cthulhu and GURPS were their jam in the 80s when they got into RPGs. I used to buy a lot of RPGs and read them. That's why I know so much about the FGU stuff from back in the day. A lot of the old Vampire the Masquerade stuff, even though I know I think that's early 90s, if I remember right, when that was starting to come out. I didn't run it. I loved reading RPG stuff, and I had a little bit of disposable cash at the time. So, all right. So there's a bunch of chat going on. So Kabuki Kid says, I remember going to the mall the day T1 through 4 came out and got it. Had been waiting for that one. Yes. Yeah. And you waited a long time for that. So Kabuki Kid says the G modules are 16 pages. Wow. That I did not know. Like I said, it's been a long time since I took a peek at them. So, and Temple of Elemental Evil was a pricey module. I'm sure it's pretty pricey now, too, in the secondary market. All right. So, before I wrap up, wanted to let you know Mariposas showed up from AEG today. So, I was very surprised because we've kind of mentioned the new, well, he's not, I guess he's not that new now. PR person from AEG, it doesn't seem to be a fan, but I did receive this. So I am going to do some gaming this weekend. So I'm going to try to see if we can get this to the table enough times for me to do a review, maybe this weekend, try to rock one out pretty quick, because I don't think this is in stores yet. So also, as I mentioned, Tiny Epic Mechs, they've got the review of that coming up. We also have Forbidden Lands, the Bitter Reach review. Delta Green, the Labyrinth review. As well as Dungeon Drop. So I think, I say over the weekend, but usually you'll notice Friday nights I'll pop up with a review or two for the most part. So stay tuned. Got a lot cooking. Lot going on. All right. So that is it for this week. As I always like to mention, if you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ring that notification bell, because it will not only let you know when the Daily Dope streams live Monday through Thursdays right here on YouTube. It'll also inform you when I upload reviews or unboxings or page throughs or any of these things. Interviews, convention coverage back when we have conventions again. So regardless, whenever you're now watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for the latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Those of you who hung out, watched live, thank you very much for keeping me company on a Thursday night. Everybody enjoy your weekend. Have a great Friday as well. And if you don't watch live, because I know a lot of people don't have an opportunity to watch the show when it streams, I really appreciate that as well. In fact, I have a soft spot in my heart for anybody who takes some time out to watch any of the videos on the Gaming Gang channel. So everyone enjoy your weekend. Have a great weekend. Do some gaming, hopefully. But also, as I keep mentioning in the close for all these videos during this pandemic, do your best to be smart and stay safe. Oh, you're still here. Well, if that's the case, by all means, subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel by clicking right here. And of course, if you want to catch up on past episodes of The Daily Dope, check out this playlist. And if you'd like to see what YouTube's recommending you take a peek at from the channel, just give a click right over here. Of course, I'm Jeff McAleer, and once again, thank you very much for watching.